Hello and welcome to Acoustic Review. My name is Ben Morgan-Brown and today I'm looking at the Hydra from Waghorn Guitars. Tom Waghorn is a Bristol-based luthier who's been building guitars for nearly 20 years. The majority of his work is custom built, and this particular guitar does feature some custom inlay and also some quite high grade maple back and sides. Other features on the guitar include a European spruce top, a 3-piece flamed maple neck, with an ebony fingerboard and a bone nut. The bone nut has a spacing of 44mm, and the scale length of the guitar is 630mm. Waghorn guitars are completely handmade and available to order from £2,000. This is the first time I've had one in my hand, so I'm really interested to hear the sound of this guitar. The first thing that catches the eye of this guitar is the quite ornate 12th fret inlay. As you get close to it, you can see that there's no filler around the inlay. It's very, very well done. The more traditional vintage sunburst is a contrast to the inlay in some ways, and I think this guitar actually has a few different elements, sort of modern and classic at the same time, whilst maintaining its own personality. Build quality is very high, very clean as well, both internally and externally. The finish is very smooth and well applied, and the wood selection is fantastic. The back and sides are a very nice piece of maple, and the 3 pieces of maple that make up the neck as well have a lot of flame in them. In fact, I probably would like a little less finish on the guitar so that you could see the flame a bit more on it. But of course, with a custom builder, you can stipulate how dark you want the finish on the guitar. So if you do prefer your flame a little bit more visible, that's something that you could spec up yourself. Quite often, maple guitars can be a bit bright or perhaps a little hard sounding, but in the same way that the finish is masking some of the characteristics of the maple, I think the build here is masking some of those characteristics as well. The guitar is actually very warm with quite a prominent low end when you play the guitar hard, but it's kind of maintaining some of that clarity that you would expect from a maple throughout the whole frequency range. And the result of this is a sound that's very balanced, and I feel like the guitar doesn't have a sound that gets in the way of anything you want to express. I definitely felt as I was playing that if I wanted to emphasize the treble frequencies a bit, that was very easy to do. If I wanted to dig in and get a little bit more girth and low end from the guitar, that was easy to do as well. I think there's a characteristic mid-range which was always present with everything you played, but it wasn't too honky, it wasn't dominating at any point, it was just kind of sitting there nicely as a nice sort of fullness that bridged the gap between the low end and the top end at all points. It definitely sounds bigger than a small guitar. I think part of the reason for that is that the guitar is very responsive, which means that I didn't feel there was any sound getting lost in the guitar. However hard I played, it would kind of keep producing sound. Although I don't think the guitar has limitless headroom, the small body size and the European spruce will affect that to some extent. But I did feel there was plenty of headroom there for a guitar of this size and my personal playing style, which doesn't tend to be too heavy, but it is nice to be able to take advantage of the full dynamic range of an instrument. One aspect of the tone that I think is really worth noting is that the treble strings had a certain thickness to them. There's no tinniness, there's no twang, and I think this is a quality that really distinguishes a great guitar from a good guitar and gives the guitar a lot of expressiveness in its tone. The playability of the guitar is excellent, the action is very low with no buzz, the D-shaped neck is very comfortable to play, and I was quite surprised with the 44mm nut, which sort of splits the difference between a more common 43 and a 45mm nut. I do tend to prefer the wider nut myself, but I actually found this was more than ample for the fingerstyle playing that I prefer, and also meant that the strings weren't too far apart if you do prefer a narrower spacing. Overall, this is just a really easy playing guitar, hardly any effort needed at all to get it singing. I think this guitar would naturally find a home with solo performers. The boldness of tone and the comfortable shape means it's very well suited to fingerstyle techniques, both modern and traditional, and also for strummers, people who want a guitar that can back them up without totally dominating the sound space that they're working within. Having said that, there is a lot of sound at your fingertips available if you do want to dig in and get, but there are other body shapes available from Waghorn which I think would suit a more strumming focused player better. Given that a guitar spec like this would cost you around the £2,500 mark, I think that represents excellent value for money for a handmade guitar. I can't think of many other handmade guitars on the market today that are going to be at that price point. Obviously, if you're buying a custom guitar, you have to be aware that the guitar is going to be made for you, and therefore the resale value on an item like this might not be as good as a better known brand. But I think really if you're at the point where you're looking to have a custom guitar made, you're probably looking for a guitar for life, and at this price, the attention of detail you get for every pound you're spending I think is well worth the expense. I think if I were to change anything about this guitar, I probably would go for a slightly wider nut width and maybe a fuller neck profile. But that's the beauty of a custom guitar, and even as the guitar stands, is an excellent instrument from an experienced yet still under the radar luthier. I hope you've enjoyed this video from Acoustic Review. Please subscribe if you want to be notified when new videos are posted. I look forward to seeing you next time.